Hello everyone, welcome to another DIY video. I haven't done these in a while and you won't be seeing my face in this video because I've been incredibly sick in the past few days, and that's also why I did this flower jar which I made with my snotty tissues. Yes, kinda gross. You can do it with snot-free tissues if you prefer. I just enjoy the idea of recycling absolutely everything and having part of my DNA in this vase forever. Let's just get into it. So I would like to mention that this recipe is not mine originally. I will leave the link below of the video I saw it from, but I will make the clay from scratch with you guys so you can see my process. So these are my snotty tissues, as I mentioned before. You can use toilet paper or any other type of paper that you want to recycle. Depending on the paper, you might want to leave it in water a little bit longer. So tissues and toilet paper are the type of paper that require less time to be submerged in water because they get soft super quickly. Any other type of paper, you might want to leave it for a couple of hours or even a day if we're talking about magazines or that kind of plasticky thick paper. So I'm shredding the paper now just to be a little bit easier to blend afterwards. Then I will grab my blender and blend this until it looks somewhat like cottage cheese. It just needs to be smooth and as less lumpy as you can get it. While I grabbed the next ingredients, my cat just came to inspect what was making all that noise. Now I need to strain this water, and I'm gonna use an old nylon sock for this. I'm just gonna wrap it around a bigger bowl, and then I'm just gonna dump the water paper mixture into it. And this again looks very much like cottage cheese, even the process. A nylon sock I don't think would be absolutely necessary. It's helpful, but maybe you can do this with like a kitchen cloth probably. So I'm squeezing all the water out, and you probably want to leave a little bit of water. This was my mistake. This was the first time I'm doing this paper clay. I want to leave it a little bit moist, which I didn't because it will be easier to blend afterwards. Now you're gonna need a bunch of new ingredients like a spoon, vinegar, salt, white glue, oil, baking soda, flour. You're gonna dump the glue on the bigger bowl, and this is way too freaking much. It's supposed to be 250 milligrams and I just added way too much, which means I had to add more flour later. Then 3 spoons of flour, 1 spoon of vinegar, 1 spoon of baking soda, and 1 spoon of salt, and 1 spoon of oil. I used olive oil. I didn't show it here in the video, but I did add it later, and then mix everything with a spoon. When you have those ingredients blended together, it's time to add your paper mixture that you put to the side. And again, it's better if it's a little bit moist. Mine was too dry, and the drier it gets, the more lumpy it's likely to get. So mine got a little bit lumpy and hard to mix. Once you find it hard to mix with a spoon, you can start mixing it by hand. And I also like to add the paper gradually, not all at once. I added way too much glue, as you can see here, so I had to add a lot more flour. If you have more paper, add more paper. I didn't have more paper, so I just added more flour. So it looks a little bit like dough. Just punch it, mix it until it looks somewhat like dough, and then you can start roll it and modeling it and change it on your table. Just put some flour if it's sticking too much to your hands or to your table. I'm using some gloves. It's a lot more helpful because you're gonna go crazy because this will stick to your hands a lot when you're mixing it. So yeah, flour and gloves will help you. I'm gonna roll it into a ball and just put it on the original container. As long as it has a lid and you close it well, it will last you for a good time. So clay with snotty tissues done. Now it's time to make a mold. I don't have a roller, so I'm gonna use a candle to roll my clay that looks like dough. And I'm gonna create a mold of a doll that you guys already saw previously, hopefully, if you follow me. Roll your dough and put it on top of the doll, and then I'm gonna press, I'm saying dough instead of clay, but it just looks so much like dough. So I'm gonna press the clay on the doll's face, so I make sure it gets all her details and features, and then you leave it to dry for about a day, I'll say. I don't know, maybe just 1 hour is probably enough, but I left it overnight just to be sure. And here it is. Now you just need to pop it out, and now you should have the mold of her face. Of course, this, if you don't have a doll head, you can make a mold out of anything that you want. This is just an example of what you can achieve with this clay. I chose a doll because I think, I don't know, I like doll faces. So now to use it as the mold, I dust it with flour. I get another piece of clay, I roll it, and I'm gonna put it inside the mold. Again, very important to put flour so it doesn't stick. I'm gonna push it in the mold to make sure it gets all those features and details. And then I'm gonna peel it off. And you should have a face. It might not be incredibly detailed, so now it's time for you to add your details. I did another face, so you can do as many faces as you want with that mold. And I'm here carving the eyes and the features a little bit more with the back of a spoon and my nails and whatever tools you got with you. Now for the base of the jar or vase, whatever, this is a package of lupini beans, which is an incredibly popular snack here in Portugal, where my Portuguese people's at. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. This is made of plastic, but you can repurpose pretty much any jar that you have, like olive jars, mayo, whatever. I save them all so I can repurpose them later. And this one is soft plastic, so I could cut the top of it because it was too long. And now I'm just gonna put the faces all around it, pushing in the faces, blending in with one another. I only had 2 at this point. I hadn't made all the other faces yet. I didn't really calculate how many faces I needed for this. I just kept doing them, so they're not very consistent in terms of the spaces they have between one another. You can still mold the faces as long as the clay is still wet. And here it is, the jar with all the faces. I think I needed 5. I did the same thing with all of them, and then you just need to start adding more clay just to cover the rest of the plastic and just to merge them together. My clay is a little bit rough. Again, this was my first try, so it is a little bit lumpy, is not very smooth, but because my jar is so horrifying, kind of adds to the monstrosity that it is by being so lumpy and weird. But yeah, I like it anyway. So there you go. That's it, everything covered. Now you just let it dry. Again, I let it dry overnight just to be sure. Next day I decided I wanted to paint it white just because it was, I don't know, I'm not very fan of this brownish yellow color, so I had acrylic paint with me and I painted all white. For the details, I didn't have any black acrylic paint left and I couldn't leave the house to get some, so I had to improvise and I tried nail polish first. So I colored the eyes with nail polish and that was not working because nail polish doesn't want to blend with acrylic paint. Very annoying. So I basically just scratched a little bit of black eyeshadow on my white acrylic paint to create a gray color, and that's what I used to shade. So yeah, you need to get creative with what you got when you can't get anything else. And that's it. Now you just need a pretty flower or a pretty plant to put on your new vase. And you can see all the different faces. They kind of make me laugh because they were all from the same mold, but it looks so completely different because you can stretch the faces and make completely different expressions after you take them off the mold. And that's how it looks like. I'm actually really happy with it. It's grotesque, but fun. And I'm gonna add my pileat flower. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it. And it doesn't exactly fit into this lupini bean jar, but I think it's decent enough. You get like a little bit of the original pot out of the jar, but anyway, I think it looks cute. And that's it. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know if you try this at home, and I'll see you next time. Bye.